Hi, this is Erica DELSIGNORE. I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, a company that specializes in finding lots of leads and revenue and clients faster through video marketing and social media. And you are watching my video interview series called Great Minds, Great Marketing, where I scour the earth for the most interesting marketers and entrepreneurs to pick their brains on what they're doing for their marketing and what has made them successful, and even listen to some of the struggles that they've had and possibly overcome or not. So today we have Rhea Perry, and she is an incredible person. She has homeschooled and raised 7 children, and several of them are very successful entrepreneurs, and she runs a business showing other homeschoolers how to teach their kids to be entrepreneurs and run home businesses. And she's been doing an excellent, excellent job at it. Now, I met her on the recent Marketers Cruise, and let me tell you, there were over 450 people on that cruise, and we had a book, and I was marking down the people as they went up and said what they did, and she's one of the top people I wanted to interview because I just think her story is incredible. I'm going to let her tell most of her story because she's certainly going to be better at it than me. So, hey, thank you very much for being on the show today. And I'm so excited to hear what you have to share with the audience.
Well, Erica, thank you so much for inviting me to be on your show today. It was awesome meeting you on the cruise. That's such a fun place to go every year. I love it. I just look forward to January so that we can all get together and learn from each other and have a good time and just grow, because the people that are on that cruise are just absolutely amazing. So I'm so thrilled at what you're doing because so many people need to learn more about marketing. One of the things I hear all the time is, oh, I wrote the ebook and it's not selling, or I created a product and it's not selling. I need to go back and redo it. It's not very good. And I always tell them, it's not the product that's the problem, more than likely, it's the marketing. And so to know that you're teaching people marketing tactics, specific ways of using the internet, that's awesome, because that's very needed.
Thank you so, so much. Well, what I'd like to start with is I always ask people about their personal life and, what do they do for fun and your hobbies and that sort of thing. I know with so many children, there's a lot going on in your life. And I believe even your oldest son has 7 children as well. Is that what I read?
Right.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about that before we get into your entrepreneurial story?
Okay, well, basically, I started homeschooling my children about 30 years ago when my husband, who was a public school teacher at the time, begged me to. He didn't want his children to go to public school. He said that schools had changed, and I
Wow.
kept saying, no, they're fine. And he said, no, they're not fine. I don't want my kids here. Please homeschool my kids. So I told him no. And so for 10 years, we sent our kids to all different types of schools. And then after 10 years, I finally gave up and said, okay, I'll try it. 1 year, we'll just see what happens. So we started homeschooling. And at first, I didn't really know what I was doing, even though I've got a degree in education from Auburn University. I was very qualified, but I just didn't know what I was doing. And tutoring, which is what homeschooling is quite different from what public school is, where you have 30 or 40 kids in a classroom and you have to take them through a certain amount of material in a certain amount of time. That's a completely different thing from tutoring. So when I first got started, I didn't know what I was doing, and we lived in Alabama at the time, and we just kind of got caught up in the rut of trying to do everything, go everywhere, do all the field trips. We had a home business at that time because my husband wanted the children to learn about business, so we decided to work for a company that was selling curriculum. So we went to trade shows for 5 years in the summertime with the kids so that they could learn about customer service and inventory and all the things that go with overhead. And
Wow.
so after a while, we just got burned out, and so we just moved to the country about 20 years ago. Left society. During that time, I was working. I was a society editor for a newspaper, and we quit. I left, and we just moved to the country. And I just told the kids, I said, okay, what do you guys want to do? And they said, nothing. We want to quit going. We want to just stay home and learn how to do stuff. So we bought some goats. I think we ended up having about 150 goats. Uh,
Wow.
had some cows. My oldest son decided he wanted to have a water buffalo, so I let him buy that, and he had to take care of it. And chickens, dogs.
Water
Just,
buffalo?
oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh
he
my God,
ordered it.
how big are those?
He,
Those are huge.
yeah, they are. They're huge, and he ordered it from Texas, and it came. And so I just let them go, and all of a sudden they all came to life. I mean, they all. I mean, you know how kids are when it's school time. They're like in a fog. These kids just all came to life. It was just amazing to see what happened in them. And so my husband at that time was working. He had gotten a job at a plant, and he had to drive an hour from here where the farm is. And so he left in the morning when it was dark. He came home at night when it was dark. And my son, my oldest son, who's my second child, was 14 when we moved out here. And he said, Daddy needs to be here with us on the farm. He never gets a chance to see anything because he works 6 days a week and he's always gone. So he said he needs to come home. And so I said, well, we're going to have to replace his income and find something that he can do. So he said, well, he tried farming. He tried raising English bulldogs. We tried all kinds of different things because he came up with this idea of creating passive income. And so everything that we did had to be passive. And a lot of things that we were trying was not, like gardening was not passive. And
Right.
so he started when he was 14, and he made a goal. He said by the time he was 21 years old, he wanted to bring his dad home from corporate America. And so by the time he was 18, he studied real estate. And so when he got into real estate and found out that he loved that, he said, by the time I'm 21, I want to own 21 houses. Well, he had studied eBay along the way, and that's where we met Jim Cockrum. He sold everything in my basement on eBay. I didn't even know it. He was shipping it out of here one thing at a time. And and so he tried he tried the stock market for 2 years. He didn't like that. He played with it. He did okay. He did make $30,000 a couple of times in one trade, one of those
Wow.
super trades. But he was looking for something else. So when he got into real estate, he said he loved that. So our first deal was we bought 13 houses with nothing down in one deal. And then he managed that property, and he hired a manager, and we rented the properties out, and we had to go collect rent. So after 5 years, we decided we didn't want to do that anymore. So we learned how to sell them with owner financing, and we used eBay to do it. So the first house we sold on eBay was a little fixer-upper house that we paid $5,000 and a big screen TV for, and we couldn't sell it, we couldn't rent it, it had an issue, and so we put it on eBay and sold it in 7 days. And we basically sold the down payment on the house for $6,000 when we'd only paid $5,000 for the whole house, and we owner financed the difference of it to a guy in the UK who made about 2 payments on it. And then he wrote back and he goes, I don't want to do this anymore. Would it be okay if I just pay you off? So what we did was we listed the house at $30,000, and so he just sent us PayPal money for the difference between 30,000 and six. So like whatever that was, $24,000. So we didn't know if that was just a freak accident or not. So we tried it again, and in the course of I don't know a year, Drew sold 70 houses, bought and sold 70 houses on eBay in 7 days. And so that 12 property thing that we had, we put that up on eBay because we didn't want to have it. And so it took us 3 auction cycles, and we sold it to Ed. So Ed was in California, in San Diego, and he bought the property, not through eBay, but eBay doesn't care because with eBay, if you've ever sold anything, like you sold junk on eBay, there's an insertion fee and then there's a final value fee, right? But
Yeah.
not with real estate, right? Because you know that if I sell you my house and you buy it through eBay, it's got to go through closing, right? With lawyers and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. So eBay knows that. So all they do is they charge $100 for you to list it, and there's no final value fee. And so we sold the 12 houses. We kept one of them and sold the other 12 to Ed, and he gave us a significant down payment, and then we owner financed the difference to him, and that was in 2005. This is 2017, and he's still making payments to us. He's never missed a day, never been late. And he also moved from San Diego, California to Alabama, where the houses are, to manage them, and he became our best friend. So people say all the time, if whenever there's a transaction, there's always a winner and a loser, and if you're not the winner, then then you're the loser
But
basically.
not in this case, right?
That's a complete lie, because he was happy, we were happy, it was win-win, and so we've been best friends ever since. And so then people started asking my son to help them market their houses on eBay. And so he created a course to teach him how to do it because he's not a super patient person. And he thought, well, why am I doing this over and over and over? I'll just write it all down and sell it to you. But first he was giving it away, and then people said, I'll pay you for that. So and he couldn't actually help them because he's not an agent. He's not a licensed agent. He's an investor. So he couldn't really help them. He could tell them what to do, but they had to do it. So he just created the course so they could learn how to do it. So then he got invited to go speak at real estate investment club meetings all across the South, Nashville, Atlanta, Huntsville, Alabama, all over. And he sold that course on how to sell houses on eBay for $1,500 to old real estate investors who didn't know how to use the internet. So by the time he was 20 years old, he was worth $1.4 million.
Wow.
And he brought his dad home from corporate America.
What an incredible story.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
It is.
The whole thing. We should have your son on too.
Oh, he's fun. I actually host live conferences, and we've had speakers like Mark Victor Hansen, Sharon Lecter, Charlie Tremendous Jones. We had Troy McClain, who was on the first season of The Apprentice. We've had the Benham brothers. We've had tons of people. We always rate our speakers. Our number one most popular speaker ever is my son Drew. Whenever we ask for a rating like 1 to 3, he gets 10s. People draw hearts and put kisses on the page.
Wow.
It's funny.
Amazing.
Because he's real. He's a redneck. He's funny. He's crazy, but he's so totally real. So we always have him speak at my conferences.
You taught him everything he knows, so that's awesome.
Well, actually, people say all the time, "How did you teach him that?" And the answer is, I didn't teach him that. He learned it on his own, because what we did was I just started kind of laying back instead of trying to teach them everything and constantly be the teacher that's dominating the whole place. I just said, what do you guys want to learn? And then when they would tell me, we would do it. I read a lot to them. I read books from all the time. But we did a lot of projects. So I discovered that the secret to real education was 3 things. Use real books that are written by people that love their topic, not necessarily textbooks that are written by somebody that was paid to write it, and they sometimes tend to be regurgitated information that's boring. And then use real people like mentors in their lives, which is why I love to go on the Marketers Cruise, because those are the type of people I bring my children to. In fact, some of my children's mentors go on that cruise. Greg Caesar, for example, my children have been to his house in Atlanta.
Wow.
Lou Brown was one of our real estate teachers. He was on the cruise last year. And so I wanted to have my children be around people like that could make a difference in their life and challenge them to do something different. And then real experiences. I just thought that the best part about school was PE, because it was fun, science lab, because that's where you got to actually do stuff with what you were learning in the book, and band, because you're actually playing music and football games and things like that, because those experiences were all real. And so I said, that's what I want for my children. I don't want things to be contrived. I want it to be real. So we did that for school, and it worked. So
that's amazing. That's incredible. So what I wanted to ask you next is, what are some of the struggles and things that you had to overcome in business while you were making all? I mean, you've talked about what your son has done too. You haven't talked as much about about what you've done with your programs for homeschoolers, teaching them how to be entrepreneurs. So you can talk about your business, and then what are some of the struggles that we can learn from that you've overcome in business, and how did you get out of it?
Okay, well that's great. I did not ever plan to start a business. I am a homeschool mom. 7 children, 15 grandkids, 2 great-grandkids. I homeschool. I live in a big house, log house on a farm. And so as I was taking the boys especially, and I took the girls too, but I had 4 boys, and I took especially the oldest 2, to a lot of real estate conferences. And if you don't go to conferences, to professional conferences, you're crazy. You've got to go out and meet people in real time and go to dinner with them and talk to them, because that's one of my favorite things, is connecting with people who are movers and shakers and doing things. So I took them to a lot of events, and we started off in real estate, but then we got into internet marketing. We started going to a lot of internet marketing events. And as I was sitting there as the chaperone, in a sense, taking these boys who were 14, 16, 18 to go to these professional meetings, I was sitting there going, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And so I kind of got sucked into it a little bit. And so I started a Yahoo group years ago, back when Yahoo was Yahoo groups were the thing. This was way before Facebook. And I had 9,000 people on my Facebook group one time, and I said, would you guys like to come over to my farm, which is in the middle of nowhere? We call it the backside of nowhere because it's hard to find. Would you guys like to come over for a one-day workshop, and I'll invite some authors, local authors, to come over? Well, we had 100 people come off of a list of about 300 from 18 states, and 4 people flew. 4 people flew. And the next year, we did it again, same thing. We started our own group that year, so we only had 100 people on the group that year because I was moderating in a different group the first year. Second year, I had my own group. It only had about 100 people on it. We had 100 people come from 18 states. 4 different people flew. And so the next year, they said, when are you going to have the party at your house again? And I asked my husband, and he said, well, that's crazy. We can't do that. We can't, we can't put any more people in this house. So I said, what if we rent a bigger house? So I rented a university down the road, put it out there on my Facebook group, which then had about 1,000 by that time. And I love groups. I love social media groups. They're awesome because you get a chance to know people. We had 300 people, it's 212 people, that's what it was, come from 21 states in Canada for a 3-day event, and I made $35,000 on that project. Second thing I ever did, the first thing I ever did on the internet was I sold a little private label ebook, that's not what it's called, not private label, but PLR product for eBay, and I sold 3 copies of it, and I made $33. That was the first thing I ever did on the internet.
Got to start somewhere.
Second thing was I hosted this conference. I made $35,000. It's pretty crazy. Wow. Which I split that with a partner at the time, so I didn't get to keep all that money. But I started looking at that, and my husband only made $35,000 in the whole year. And we said, you know what? Maybe there's something to this internet thing. Let's keep going. So I connected with a mentor, which is another secret of success. You've got to connect with somebody that can teach you stuff. So I connected with a mentor. And he basically told me I had to have a membership site. So I eventually had to turn the Yahoo group off because of spammers. We didn't know what to do about it back then, and we started over again. And so now we have a mentoring program at 3 levels that teaches people whatever it is that they want to know about how to homeschool your children to be entrepreneurs, specifically for business, because you don't train leaders the same way that you train followers. And in school, you're being trained to be a follower, not a leader. That's why we like to train them differently, to think differently, and act differently in homeschooling. And then the second level is for people that want to build businesses, and then we have a top level for people who are serious. And I work with them every week. And so we have several families in that group, and then I take them on excursions. So we go do fun things. We have weekends. I rent a house on Airbnb, a big, gigantic house, and then we all get together. We fly experts in, and we learn from other people, and we have a great time. So we've had that online community. It's also got a Facebook group for a very, very long time. It's lasted, I don't know how long we've had that, probably 15 years, and we still have people around for 15 years. And so now we host live conferences, one in the spring to teach people how to homeschool for home business, and one in the fall for home business. And so I never planned this. If anybody said, show me your business plan, I would say, I don't even have a napkin with a sketch written on it. I mean, it's just kind of all fallen into my lap, and we've just gone with whatever came along. We just give people whatever they ask for, which is, the concept of meeting people's needs in business.
Wow, that's incredible. It's so inspiring to hear. And it is funny how you can fall into, what we call info marketing. The same thing happened to me. My first event, I'm still getting more and more sales from one of the 3 people that came. Ends up being almost a $30,000 weekend now. Not at the time. That was only last June. So the money just keeps rolling in from that, and you have to count it all, because if you didn't have the event, you wouldn't have those very loyal clients. It's something about spending 3 days live with someone.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, it's just one more way of connecting with your market, with the key people, because you can do a lot on the internet, but when you actually rent a room and put a bunch of people in it and they talk to each other and you find out more about them, you find out more about their needs, you find out more in real time what's working, what you're doing that's working, and what's not working, because a lot of times they won't tell you, but if there's something that's really not right, if you're sitting across from them at the dinner table and you say, I really want to know what you think, they'll tell you. And so I've gotten some really good feedback. The other thing is there's so many ways of making money when you're in a live event. I mean, there's, people that were on the marketing cruise made money from putting deals together with each other. And it was just it's I've been on I think 4 or 5 of Lou's cruises. And actually, I knew Lou back in 2003 when I first went to one of those internet marketing conferences with the boys to go learn how to do this thing. Lou sat on the front row, and he said, I'm a struggling travel agent. I don't know what to do. And my mentor mentored him too, and he basically said, figure out how to do something different and then just distinguish yourself in your arena. And he did. He's done a great job with it.
He sure has. I really enjoy Captain Lou. He's going to be on here in a couple weeks too. So,
Oh yeah.
uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to interviewing him and telling everyone about how much I love that cruise. I signed up for next year too, so
Oh yeah.
it'll be really great. Um, Wanted to talk a little bit about the marketing methods that you use. I know you mentioned one that I absolutely love. I have a great story about this marketing method as well. But why don't you talk about how you market your business and one of your favorite things that you do?
Well, that's a great thing to talk about. Let's start off with a problem that a lot of people have. Um, we have we had let me not call any names here, but we had a particular shopping cart option a couple years ago that was the basis of our websites, and everything ran through that. And at one point we got dissatisfied with it, and we changed to another one, and then to another one, and to another one, and to another one, and to another one. And I think we've found the solution now, which I don't really want to discuss. I'm not sure exactly if it's okay to do that or not here, but on the cruise, I found what I think is going to now be the solution. But in the process of changing my list, moving my list from one list server to another, over and over and over, I forgot to set up the autoresponders and the lead generation system every single time I did that. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that have done the same thing that I've done. And you've finally settled down to a place, and you don't even know if you're going to stay there for very long or not. And it's a lot of trouble to set up all those autoresponders and the funnel and all that stuff. But that's got to happen. That's like the foundation. So you've got to make sure that happens. Because then anything else that you do out there on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on mainly the social media, writing articles, anything else that you do out there to drive traffic, it's got to come into a funnel-based system. And if it's not, then you're driving traffic and wasting money for nothing. So, of course, social media is the hot thing right now. I have a social media consultant that I meet with every week, once a week, and she begged me a couple years ago to start a Facebook group to replace my old Yahoo group. And I said, that was a lot of trouble. I don't want to have to do that again. And so we brainstormed it out, and she told me how to do it. We set it all up. We tried it. It worked. And so one of the things that we do for a stick strategy is we have Facebook groups for almost all of our different little groups. And so then going out and finding people to put into those, that is the key, because it's all internet based, and you don't know who these people are. So one of the things that we do is we do a lot of social media on Facebook, and not near enough. And also I have a blog that I don't keep up with, just so that people can find me, because it's basically my name, rayperry.com. So she's got me set up doing that, and I'm not faithful because this year I'm hosting about, I think, 6 events, one in Russia, one in Israel, and one massive one for the Amazon sellers. And so I've been a little busy, and I'm a little behind on the things I'm supposed to do. But, oh yeah, I got involved with the Amazon sellers about 8 years ago, and so I'm helping all of them now. I don't do Amazon. I just host the conferences that they go to, the training programs with my partner. And so the stick strategies are just as important as the lead generation, because if you go out and find somebody on Facebook and drag them into your funnel, you've got to have something for them to consume in order to stay there. And so in our membership site, which we've had up for probably about 12 or 13 years, we have people that are still with us. Now, in a membership site model, it's typically about 3 months before somebody leaves. They usually 3 to 6 months. They come in, they go out. That's why you've got to continually go out and get more traffic. So my philosophy was, if they're coming in, why not do something to keep them? Why not make them happy? Why not meet their needs? So we are continually communicating with them. So one of the things that we do is I have a full-time graphic designer in Ohio. She's a retired school teacher. I met her daughter at a homeschool conference, and I hired the daughter to help me, but the daughter has 11 children. And so she handed me off to her mother, who was a retired public school teacher who was helping her homeschool the children. And so it turned out that she's got this gift. She's unbelievable. So we've actually had her teach classes and train other people, but we never had anybody do as good a job as she does. So I meet with her, and we design cards, greeting cards, and we use them as marketing pieces. We have postcards, 2-panel cards, 3-panel cards, and we send out cards every week. So you'll probably get a card after this is all over, Erica, because I'll have Catherine send you one. And so the people that are in our Facebook groups that are in our community, our paid community, we send them cards every month. And then the proteges that we have that are paying a little higher price, we send them different cards. And then the inner circle group that I have, we send them cards, but we also send them brownies, we send them candy, we send them books, we send all that stuff through Send Out Cards, because it's an amazing little platform that you can log into your computer, pull up this little software program, drag your picture over, drop it, type your words, hit go, and the company sends them all for you. So she does all of that for me, and I just pay her. I just write her a check. We send Christmas cards every year. We own a transcription company. It's called internettranscribers.com. It's completely passive. I don't do anything with it whatsoever. I've got a manager that takes care of it. We send them cards at the end of the year. We say, thank you so much for your business. And then sometimes we send our really good clients brownies. So companies don't ever do things like that. So it's kind of another stick strategy of, we might not be the cheapest people in town, but we're going to be super efficient, super fast, because we guarantee next day turnaround, but we're going to send you brownies. Hey.
No, I agree. I mean, I discovered Send Out Cards a long time ago. A friend of mine was selling them, and he sold me a membership, and I gotta say, like, at the time I was looking for a job, and and they were very high-end jobs. So I remember one of them, I had sat down and I was grilled by 5 different people that were high level in the company, and it was a multi-billion-dollar company most likely. And I just pulled each one of their pictures off, and I put them on the front of the card. No, actually, the front of the card had a picture of a data center. I was going into data center sales again, and you open the card, and it had their pictures and then my picture, and I'm like, looking forward to joining the family. And every time I did that for all of the jobs. I got every job offer that I wanted, and just an incredible tool. And no one had ever done it. I sent the extra large card. I'm sure you know which one that is.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, it's just huge. So I stood out, and I do that all the time. A couple of them actually brought the cards to my second or third interview, because I would send them as I went, and really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that's great. You're kind of reminding me of something I used to do that I should do again. So I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but yeah, it's really good.
Absolutely. Well, I send cards to everybody. So what I do now, like I bought a truck in December, just a couple months ago. So I took a picture of the car salesman and me while we were out there doing a test drive. I texted it to my girl Catherine. I got his address off of the business card while he was filling out the paperwork, and I sent him a card, and then I took a picture of me sitting after I bought it. I took a picture of me sitting in the driver's seat, looking out the window, waving. We put that on the front, so it opened up and it spanned across the whole inside the picture of me standing by the truck. And I sent him brownies, and then I put a PS on the bottom, and I said, share this with Red, the guy in the finance department, because I had talked to him too. And so I sent it to him, and he texted me a picture of it back on his desk when he got it. He goes, "You're the best customer. This is awesome." And so
they don't throw them away. They don't.
Oh, yeah, they don't. So I send cards like that all the time, and I love it when they text me back and say, "You're my favorite customer," or "You're my favorite person," because nobody ever says thank you. And it's just it doesn't take me any time whatsoever, because I literally do the whole thing on my phone. I take a picture, like I can take a picture right now of you doing this, and then I'll text it to, I'll take the picture, I'll text it to Catherine, I'll take the picture. I don't know if I can do a selfie of this, but I'll try later. And then I'll text it to Catherine, text her the address, I'll text a little note, and she creates the card and sends it. So why not set up systems like that can make your customers happier? So to me, it's kind of, we call it relationship marketing. It's not lead generation marketing, but it's relationship marketing that helps people stay.
Yeah, well, leads will come from it, believe me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anything like that. So, hey, I don't want to run out of time on you, so I want to keep going. What is the best course and books that you've read helping you with your
Oh, wow.
entrepreneurial journey?
Well, okay, let's talk about books. Actually, what my low-end uh, membership site is, which is $19.97 a month, 20 bucks, super easy. It's a book of the month club because I read. I love books. I have a basement full of books. I have more books in my house than my local library down the road out here in the country has. And I just buy books all the time. I'm a complete freak when it comes to Amazon one click. Somebody tells me it's about something, I'm on my phone, oh, got to buy that. And so I hate to say one book um, or one course, but I'd have to say probably Evangelpreneur was one of the top books. Another one was Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. Was really good. The book that actually set me in motion was Rich Dad Poor Dad, because when we
I can't tell you how many people either say that or there's another really famous one that they like to talk about. But yeah,
Amen.
that's I love that book.
Amen. Well, with Rich Dad Poor Dad, I went to one of those classes that I took my son to, which was a terrible class. It was just, we didn't learn hardly anything in it. But the teacher said, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I bought it, I read it, and it opened my mind, my eyes completely. And so then I read all of the Robert Kiyosaki books. And so then I just started applying what he was talking about in those books. And so now that's kind of what we teach. And we share his concepts with everybody everywhere. In fact, I even met Robert at one point. His office called and invited us to come out to Arizona to come meet him. So I hopped on a plane with Drew and we went out and met Robert. It was kind of fun. And then we had Sharon Lechter speak at one of our conferences one time, so that was fun too. But we read all the time. But I'm a big advocate of real education, and so if you just jump into that arena and start, you'll end up finding out where the right books are for you. And it depends on who you are and what you're doing. But we read all the time, and I do book reviews for all kinds of books. And so if anybody's got a book out there that you think is really awesome, send it to me. I'd be glad to read it and review it.
Absolutely. I ask everyone on all these interviews, so I should really compile a list. And
Yeah.
we've got some great ideas from these interviews. Okay, so what is up and coming in your industry?
In my industry, well, I've been starting to see a lot of videos lately, mainly TED Talks and videos that are put out by different websites, where they're starting to realize that we are not training entrepreneurs in the general education world.
So
So
true.
I've been talking about this. I speak at about 10 to 12 homeschool conventions every summer. I'm the only person out there talking about home business. And a lot of people don't want to come to my workshops and hear anything about making money, even if they can do it from home. And we've got some amazing success stories from young people and adults who have made as much as almost $1 million in a year just doing something that they found to do. And so it's super easy to do. And if you can work from home and make $1 million a year or even a month, which some of them do, why would you have a job? And so now in my industry, the education world, people are starting to realize that we have to educate entrepreneurs differently. It's like in the military. When people go into the military, they go in two different directions. If they haven't gone to college, they go into basically grunt education and they just get basic military training. But if they've gone to college first, then they go into officer training. And officer training is how to be a leader. You don't train leaders and followers the same way. So in our educational system, all we have is basically follower education. There is no place to teach leaders. And we say, well, college is that. Well, no, it's not, because in college, you're still just getting trained to get a job. And when you get out, you're only going to make a $50,000 to $100,000 a year job, which I have friends who have done that in a day or an hour. I have one, my mentor holds the record in our peer group. He made $1 million in 1 hour. So
Wow.
and he didn't go to college. Do what?
How do you do that?
He was speaking at a conference, and he was selling a package that some people wanted, and there were a lot of people there, and so they bought his package, and then he sold it to them. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That must have been a very big conference.
I'm sure. I wasn't even there. I would love to. But, I mean, it's just the fact that he did it, it means it's possible. It's kind of like the 4-minute mile. So why not go out there and try to do something like that? So in my industry, I see of education, I see that we're going to start training more entrepreneurs. And so, those kids that are in school that are bored, that are fidgety, that are taking things apart all the time. They end up usually putting them on Ritalin and just making them sit down and be quiet so they can fit in and not disrupt the classroom. If they would realize that those kids are geniuses and then give them a large amount of stimulation and activity and books and resources and mentors and experiences to go out and learn with, they would settle down and they would direct that energy toward something that would be productive. Because you know that an ADD kid can sit still for a long time. If you put them in front of a video game, they can sit still for a long period of time if they're interested.
For that, so that's phenomenal. Now listen, I appreciate this information. I know that you have some events coming up and some websites that you'd like to appoint us to, and I'd love it if you could tell us about what's coming up.
Okay, sure. Well, like I said, we have 2 events a year. So in the spring, we have a home education for home business conference. And this year we have Jim Cockrum, who is the peer leader of eBay and Amazon, who's also homeschools 5 kids. He helps his wife because she's got some health issues, and he makes $25 million a year. So he's going to come and talk to us about his philosophy of education. Now, I also host a conference for him that's really hard to get into for Amazon sellers, but he's going to be speaking at our conference this year, and the website address for that is educatingforsuccess.com/2017 HEC, which stands for Home Education Conference. So you can go there and find out more about that event. It's in March 9th through 11th, 2017 at Fall Creek Falls State Park. So what we do is instead of having our events at a nice big fancy hotel, we take them out to the country where the kids can get out and play. They can camp if they want to, and it's a more relaxed environment, and it's very family friendly. And so we're doing that this year at Fall Creek Falls State Park. But in the fall, I also want the homeschoolers to have the experience of being in the nicer hotel and learning how to act and give out your business card and introduce yourself to people that are millionaires. And so we host an event in the fall in August every year that's called our Home Education Conference. And the link for that is well, actually, if you just go to Educating for Success, because I'm sure that this video you have is going to be evergreen and it'll be out there. So I don't want to date this, but if you go to educatingforsuccess.com and type and just search on the left side for conferences or conferences, it'll pull up the current one, because in August we have a 3-day event where we bring in keynote experts on a variety of different things to teach people things about real estate, internet marketing. We're talking to a Bitcoin expert this year because I'm all into Bitcoin right now, and just different things. We have keynotes that come in from all different arenas of life, and that's super fun. And then we have a protege program. So on the day after the conference, all of the students get to come together and we just do a gigantic brainstorming. We go around the room, and one family after another gets a chance to tell about their challenges, and they get one-on-one help to implement all the things that they just learned. So those 2 conferences are just super. And the thing is that you can bring your children, so they get a chance to meet these guys and be exposed to all of this awesome. Just like going on the marketers cruise, all those people that we heard talk, we take kids to go hear people like that share and tell their stories and share their genius.
That's amazing. So that's a wonderful start for your kids.
Right.
I'm so excited to talk to you, and I wish I'd even had more time on the cruise. You figure 8 days would be enough, but there were just so many interesting people there. I'm glad though that we were able to connect, and I get to hear your story. So really exciting stuff. Very, very interesting. And thanks to everyone for watching this episode of Great Minds, Great Marketing. Looking forward to seeing you on the next interview, where I'll continue to find the brightest and the most interesting entrepreneurs out there to share their stories and help teach you. So thanks again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Great.